Hi, I'm John F. Allen. And I'm R.J. Sullivan. And we're the Two Towers.
John, I'm sure you have a couple questions. If you wanted to jump in here, I'm going to stop dominating the conversation for a minute.
Well, with regards to my own work and audiobooks, it's something that I thought of. I saw some of the things that RJ initially went through with it, and it kind of shied me away from wanting to pursue that at that time. Not to come off as being, opportunistic or whatnot, but it was like if he was going through that much problems in the beginning, I was going to wait and see how this panned out before I even decided to even go there. And I will be talking with our publisher, RJ, the publisher for RJ and I, soon, and we will be developing some things probably for 2022. As far as Danielle voicing the audiobook for RJ and Chrissy, upon talking with her from our previous interview, all I can say is great job. You guys fit very well together with regards to you bringing the characters to life that RJ and Chrissy created. So kudos to you guys for that. And everything worked out really well for you. So you've given me hope and inspiration for my future audiobook endeavors, which will be coming in the near future.
I'm curious about that. So if you can't say on the air, you'll have to tell me later.
No, okay.
I think it's too soon. I think he meant it's too soon to tell, but
it sounded like he was hinting that he's got something planned anyway. So it was.
No, it was more or less like it's in the plan. It's in the planning stages. I've got to talk with the publisher. I've got some ideas specifically because of who my characters are, where I want them to land, and some ideas about who I have in mind to voice them. So that's what I was alluding to.
Yeah, it's an interesting process that a lot of people don't understand what goes into making an audiobook, and where it even starts to how to then get to the finished product. It's a lot of work for everybody involved. So it's not something that you're just like, well, I'll jump into this, So yeah, getting some it's good to have some friends who've already been down the road so you can have conversations with them. And of course, I am happy to help you with any questions you have. So always reach out.
Thank you.
I have a question for the both of you, kind of related to that. I know Chrissy has a podcast. My brain fizzled there for a second. And she also reads her stories chapter at a time. And Danielle, I know that obviously you have a booth, you have the editing equipment and everything else that goes along with that. I attempted to read one story for myself using Audacity, and the learning curve, along with the reality that even once I learned it, what all it was going to involve, it completely spooked me. I said, I cannot possibly do this. There's no way. So Danielle, I'd like to hear a bit about the gap between checking it out and then learning the reality, and did you have any second thoughts about that? And Christy, kind of the same question to you as well.
When I first got started, before I started doing audiobooks, I did a lot of video editing. I always have been into making videos, so I did a lot of that. I did music editing because I sing for nursing homes, and I use tracks when I sing, so I knew a lot about. I used Audacity for all of that, so I was already very familiar with the program.
Nice.
Anyway, but then learning, there's a big difference between music editing and video editing and audiobook editing. It's its own monster. So I learned a ton. I talked to some people who that was their forte. That's what they focused on. And I found out a lot of things from them on what I needed to do and to try to get the right sound and all of that. So, but no, it was actually pretty exciting because I was excited to start doing audiobooks anyway, but I also am kind of a nerd for computers. So here was this new thing that I was learning on computers as well. So I don't know, it was exciting to me. I guess it's also overwhelming. I don't want to pretend like there weren't moments of like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But, once you kind of learn it, now I just have this flow about it and I can get things done pretty quickly, but it took a while to get there. So, yeah.
And then Chrissy, you started a podcast a little over a year ago now. Is that right?
I started in February of 2000, so I guess a little before Transwitch came out.
2020.
In the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
But very early, like the beginning, it was February, I believe, because I keep looking at the stats, I know the date. It was February 7th, 2020. It was a weekly format, and I was each week I would read one of my Alien Beer stories. It was I have a short story collection called Alien Beer and Other Stories, and so I called the podcast Alien Beer. And the learning curve was, I'd already played with Audacity for a few years. But I think you were referring to recording a story for the same reason I was. We both worked with, oh my gosh, it was Strange, Weird, and Wonderful.
D.L. Russell.
Yeah, D.L. Russell had published each of us, and he asked for an audio recording of it.
That was a whole other thing.
Well, yeah, I had at the time it was like 2011 or something like that. I used a portable voice recorder to record myself. Yeah, you've got one right there.
Yeah.
And I work in a building that has music rooms, so they are, and the time that I recorded that, I just shut myself in a room with nobody in it and recorded. And but the voice recorder was so poor quality, it sounded really tinny and whispery, and I didn't know what I was doing. I did learn my very first trick with Audacity then, though. I stutter a lot. I and I ah, and I'll use the wrong inflection on things, and I need to re-record. And I want to record the whole thing. So the trick I learned there was, if I screw up, it's okay. All I have to do is I snap in front of the mic, and then when you go back in Audacity, you see these spikes. Mm-hmm. So I can visually see where did I screw up, and then I start back over at the beginning of the previous sentence. And sometimes I have to start over 3 or 4 times if I'm really screwing up, or my voice is, get a frog in my throat or something like that. Or if I pause, I'll edit out. That first trick is you can highlight and delete anything that you don't want in there. And so if I know that I'm going to screw up and I need to, I just re-record it on the spot, and then I can move on with my life. So when I do that first pass after I listen to something, and that's most of what I knew going into recording a podcast. And I've learned a lot of other tricks, like using normalize to make the volume level not too quiet. And I learned how to more recently learned how to do noise reduction properly. I wasn't doing it correctly before. But when you have a washing machine right below your recording area, or if you have I don't know, all kinds of other sound effects like that you don't want in there, that's good to have. But yeah, it was a learning curve, one thing at a time. I kept checking out YouTube videos mostly to how do you do this in Audacity, and I don't think you have to know it all at once. No. I think it's something you pick up as you go along. Especially if you're doing it like I am. I'm just putting these out for free. So if someone doesn't like the quality, they can they can go pay for something else, because mine was free. And ultimately, I don't know. I've thought about taking what I put out for free and making an audiobook as well, but I'm not sure it's quite the quality it needs to be, although I've learned an awful lot over time. Read by author is popular, I guess, but only if the author is Neil Gaiman. So
You're right. There's but I mean, once you started, you've hit almost every week. Have you hit every week?
Change formats. Transwitch caused me to change formats. I was almost out of material from Alien Beer, and I had to stop writing Multiverse Blues episodes as often. So I switched to every other week format at that point, and I'm continuing to be at every other week format because I haven't had the time to write and produce something every single week. I find that I can do one or the other every week, but I can't really. Doing both is grueling. It means I don't do anything else on the weekend. Well, it takes a big chunk out of my weekend. Even for something that ends up being 20 minutes long, there's probably 3 hours of work in that because
Sure.
I had to write it, so that takes a while, and then I had to edit the writing, and then I had to record it, and then I had to edit the recording, and then I have to put in the intro to the show, outro to the show, ads for other people in the same podcast network I'm in if I want to, and so forth, and then I have to upload it and make posts about it. There's a lot of work in making a weekly podcast, or even a bi-weekly podcast. But I'm pretty pleased at what I've done with Alien Beer overall. I've had 60 episodes since the beginning of February last year.
Wow.
And I've had 4,800 downloads in that time.
And you're at the point now where if you're going to have a new show, you have to write new material. Is that correct?
That's right. Although I'm going to cheat. I've written and podcasted 4 episodes of the new series I have called Rosedale Pub. But I don't have time because of in conjunction. I'm not going to have time to write and record one properly anyway. I could have slapped one off, but I don't think I want to make those good quality. So what I did was I took one of the stories I wrote in 2019. That's a long story, but I have a cache of stories that I've never published that were experimental. So I read one of those, and I've recorded it, and it's ready to go for the week after InCon, and then I'll have time to write and produce another one before that. In that time, because I've got another 2 weeks after that before the next one.
So what I most admire about that is the fact that, I mean, you kind of talked a little bit about what you were going through personally. Your house was having a major breakdown, and you had to arrange for some serious invasions of your personal space because plumbing issues that's crazy.
Contractors were here 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, and the cats were terrorized by the drilling and hammering and sawing, and they tore up the 6 layers of floor. It was a nightmare.
Crazy, yeah. And yet, and then that's not even talking about COVID and the fact that how many people just kind of gave up for producing much of anything. You were putting out a regularly scheduled podcast show of new material. Was that something that you needed to do for yourself? Did it help kind of create an anchor of stability?
It was a lifeline for me. About that a bit. COVID was, I'm an introvert, so staying home is not hard for me, but I did miss being around people, and I did, you start feeling like you don't know what day it is anymore, and you don't, and it's easy to do just nothing. But if you do, then I fall into depressions and I get anxious, and I'm not driven to do a lot of work. I'm not that kind of person, but I needed to do something creative, or I was going to go even more bonkers than I already was. And so the podcast I thought of before COVID hit, before it was a thing. A lot of people made podcasts after COVID hit, but I was there a month or, well, it was really 6 weeks before there were lockdowns and all. And I thought, well, I'm glad I have this. That way I could put stuff out. People could consume it. It wasn't like waiting for a con to put out a book. It was instant. You know, I within a week or two of each episode I made, people heard it and I got to hear back on what they thought about it. Well, sometimes, but it was clear that people were listening to it. So that really helped me feel like I'm not completely cut off from the world. Yeah. I'm putting things out. People are enjoying what I do. Maybe I'm even helping people who are, who are stuck at home and don't have anything, don't have other people they can listen to some free entertainment, maybe get an escape into other worlds because I write fantasy and science fiction. I don't know. It was something I needed to do.
And it's worked out really well all around. Kudos on that. That's great.
Thanks.
John, you want to jump in here with something?
Well, just listening to what's been said, just like I said before, just get me some inspiration for when my time comes. That'll be a whole other project for me to tackle. So book 2 of my series is hopefully going to be coming out by the end of this year, and that'll be kind of cool because then we can start building a rapport with an actor to narrate and have a steady voiceovers come through for that particular project. I have another series that the 3rd book in that'll come out next year, and that'll be another challenge, finding the right actor for that. It's from a male perspective, so it's given me a lot to consider what's been said here and what I've been listening to from your experiences, that I'm kind of scared, a little bit excited at the same time, but it's something that we'll definitely see fruition sometime next year in 2022. So you guys are inspiration to me. So I'm just listening and taking it all in, as it were.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, John. Do you think that that producing this show will help you in that way? Having dealt with editing and producing audio and in video too, but working with the talent, would you think that would give you some insight?
I think that it does, and it will. It's been a learning curve. I didn't come out of the box, as it were, with the skills for post-production on anything audio or visual. The earliest times that I ever did anything audio was making mixtapes back in high school. I mean, so that was the extent of my audio. As far as visual, I ran the projector like most nerds and geeks did, so there was that.
I wish.
And the writing, of course, it was my forte, art direction too. So it kind of just culminated reading articles, talking to people, getting my hands dirty with it. And I think that it will serve me well once the time for my audio work to come about. It'll give me at least a lot greater empathy for what goes into all of this, because I tell you, it can be time consuming and it can be a lot of work, and most times it is. And just for the post production on this show alone, I can attest to that. So yeah, definitely it's helped prepare me.
Absolutely. I need to give John more of a shout out. If an episode of The Two Towers has dropped at any time, it's because John has put several hours of work into it. It's been quite an experience to figure out everything he has to do to get this show off, and I just have not. Probably I need to take more time to do more to help lift with that. But as of this time, John is doing pretty much all of the post-production, and John, I am well aware of that, and I greatly appreciate the work that you put into this. I think the Two Towers has turned into quite an interesting program, and I don't think I mention often enough how many hours you put in to get this show out there and for people to find. So thank you for that, my friend.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the encouraging words and the the accolades and praise. It definitely feels good to know that it's appreciated and respected. And that's not to cut you short, because you're you do put together a lot of the questions for our guests and help with the topics, and also putting the word out when the show's released. So, tip of the hat to you for that. It's a team effort. The post-production and pre-production, the graphic design, it's all stuff that I like to do, but definitely has a learning curve. I didn't come out of the box knowing this stuff, and I'm still learning. So,
absolutely. So, I thought we'd be getting further into like how long we've known each other and how far back our history goes. It feels like something that would be kind of forced right now. But what I do want to say is, Chrissy and John and I have worked as a sort of a 3-person unit, in the sense that one of us will go out and explore a thing, and we'll come back and we'll report to to the rest, and we will try to combine our knowledge as much as possible in order to make as few mistakes as possible. And we have this bond between us that's pretty much like, we make friendships, we meet other authors, we do different things with other folk, but we do come back, and we do our best to help each other and share our knowledge. And that's something that we've been doing since we first met. I want to say 2010, over 10 years now, I think.
Let me think about that. No, I'd already written Blue Spirit when we met at that retreat.
That's
and
correct.
I put that, I wrote that in the end of 2010. So I think it was the very beginning of 2011. Like that. It was like a February retreat we went to, writer's retreat. And we were sitting next to each other, and we said, hey, I've got this book with blue in the title. And I've got a book with blue in the title. Well, mine's got a strong female protagonist in it. Well, mine's got a strong female protagonist. And for a moment there, we're both sitting there thinking, crap, did we write the same book? And then that we turned out to have a lot in common, and that's why we swapped characters, because we have really similar writing styles and kind of ideas about what urban fantasy should look like and all that.
And you brewed your own beer, which made me inclined to want to learn more about you right off the bat. So
yeah, I don't do that so much anymore, but it did make me a lot of friends. So.
And then I think John, it was within months of that.
Oh yeah,
our mutual friend Rodney introduced us.
I remember him showing up at a club, certain clubs meeting, the one that held the retreat, and just sort of wowing everyone, and me in particular. So
yeah. Funny story. I was working in a bookstore at the time, and this kid comes walking in, and I say kid because he was like barely 20, and I'm 30 something. Actually 40 something, with 2 kids, I'm seasoned a little bit, and he comes in asking for Elmore Leonard novels, and I'm a fan of Elmore Leonard, and we struck up a conversation, and one thing led to another, and he got me introduced to Maurice Broadus, who's a past show interviewee and friend. And then I met RJ and Chrissy, and history was made, as it were. Just for our audience to know, I have used a character of Chrissy's in a short story of mine, which was an Ivory Christmas. That was a Transit King. He made an appearance in that particular short story. And then I had another short story, Legend of Manindo, and that particular short story featured a cameo from Rebecca Burton. So we have cross streams, as it were, with characters, and it's been fun. Sticking toes in each other's worlds or whatnot. I think that they're good collaborations that when they are employed, they represent what the initial authors view or how they see the character, pretty well. So I think we do a pretty good job with that.
The Transit King will outlive us all.
Yes, indeed. So I'm just one more thing to add as far as COVID went this past year. Bring Danielle back into this. I spent most of my time finishing up the audiobooks that I had started in 2019. And so she and I worked very closely on those, especially on Virtual Blue, because the situation with the publisher had changed and I was republishing it. And also there were still a lot of typos in that script. So what ended up happening was Danielle was recording it while kind of proofing it on the spot and sending me her error report as she was recording, and I was rewriting the original manuscript. It was really, really goofy.
I forgot we did that. Crazy. Yeah.
For my own work, it's rough when I hit a mistake while I'm recording. I know. And there'll be this gap of like 15, 20, 30 seconds on the recording where I'm changing it in the in the text and then going back, snapping, and then re-recording, and then
Well, it was even worse when Danielle would be like, okay, here's what you wrote. I know you didn't mean this. What did you mean to say? Right. I would read it and go, oh dear.
I remember there was that whole section that I was like, okay, wait, there's who's talking, who's saying this? It was like all thoughts, wasn't it? Or something. And it was a bunch of different people's thoughts, but I couldn't figure out who was saying what. And that was, I remember that being the craziest one. But yeah.
I remember it was like I wanted to get the book back out, but I had to wait for the rewrites from an editor. But also Danielle was giving me what she found from the old manuscript. It was so crazy. But we got it all worked out. The revised version is what's out there now. My books are back out, self-published under my own label, Dark Whimsy Books. And in fact, we just put out the omnibus of the entire Blue Schaefer story in one title. So that's come out really well, and I'll have those available in future personal appearances, which have yet to be determined. But that was how I spent a good deal of my time when we were all kind of stuck at home, and it was good. It was good time spent to kind of regroup, figure out my situation, and then come out the other side kind of with everything kind of getting a restart coming into 2021. So I'm excited to see where all that goes, and also working on new stuff. So it was a crazy time for everybody. It seems like we all made the most of it and helped each other through it, and that's the important thing. So many people treat it like it's a competition, but I have found that it's the collaborative experience that's the most rewarding. And the three people here in this Zoom room are a big part of that for me, and I treasure each of you. So on that note, I guess that's where I'll leave that.
I can't even begin to tell you how crazy it is that when I think back, like we met, RJ, we met, 2 years ago at this point, a little over 2 years. And just now that I feel like I have this new family that I wouldn't have met if I hadn't met you. So
yes, it's true.
Thank you. Other podcasts with you guys, which was really fun. And now working with Chrissy, and I mean, it's great. I'm happy. Thank you.
On that note, I believe we have another interview with Chrissy that was out, got taken down under the previous distributor, and should be coming back out sometime in the near future. Danielle, I know we're sitting on a Cobra Kai episode. I think we're waiting for season 4.
Because season 4 is coming out.
So we'll probably put that one out when we do season 4. So that should, I heard September. Is that still true, John?
As far as I know, they've been shuffling around stuff. Netflix has got a lot of irons in the fire, so we'll keep fingers and toes crossed and see if that's really going to pan out. Looking forward to season 4. Looking forward to what this new school is going to look like. Very interesting, different dynamics from the headmasters. So,
right.
So see how long it is before they're slapping each other.
If you want to learn more about Danielle, we have another show out there. What was it? 4 parts where we talked about Wonder Woman.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Incessantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
I hardly believe that, RJ.
It was a very one of our very popular series. One of the most popular, as a matter of fact. Who doesn't love Wonder Woman? But not very many love her as much as RJ.
That's probably true. I'm actually rewatching the Linda Carter series on HBO Max now.
Yay!
Oh, is it on there?
It is. And I just watched one of my favorite episodes from the run. The second season one where the fellow from the Japanese internment camp turns on Wonder Woman and thinks that I love that episode. To me, that was one of the few times it met the potential of what the show could be. But yeah, so
it's another reason RJ and I became friends. Our love of Wonder Woman.
That's true. So yeah, you can check that out as well. And so there's stuff either coming out shortly or already out there. So let's go around the room. We'll talk about other things you have going on and where people can find you online. Chris, you can go first.
Oh, I already kind of babbled about some of my things. Everything of mine's on sillyhatbooks.com. That's my self-published publisher. my imprint of, it's actually an imprint of Speculative Fiction Guild. If you get into the ISBNs and all that stuff, but Silly Hat Books came from that's a long story, but it's how I referred to the steampunk universe that I had. It was the Silly Hat world, but that has come up again in the aforementioned Multiverse Blues series that I did on my podcast. I was doing that every other episode for a year. I thought there are 26 chapters every other week, and then every other week, even when I stopped doing, when I ran out of Alien Beer stories, I still put out a Multiverse Blues every other week. And it is a sort of an extension of Reality Check, my dimension hopping science fiction adventure. This is dimension hopping, but they do it in a tour bus because the main character is a roadie for a interdimensional alien diva who is dolphin-like in nature. The main character isn't, the diva is.
Yeah, I'm halfway through that. I gotta get back and finish it. I was really enjoying that. For a time, I was with you as each episode came out, and now I got to go back and finish it up. I'll be visiting.
It was really fun writing a serial because it was fun and scary writing a serial because there's no takebacks. You've already, I put out an episode. It's out there in the world. And then I go, oh, I didn't mean to say that. I guess I have to, it's like, why do Klingons have wrinkled foreheads now and not in the original series? Well, because, and you have to I don't have to do anything quite that outrageous to retcon something, but you can't really retcon. You can only move forward. So that's one thing about a serial serialized fiction that's scary. It's working without a net. You can't do the Bill and Ted trick of suddenly, remember a trash can and then be able to, or it was me who stole my dad's keys, that kind of thing. It's hard to do that unless you leave, deliberately plan that far ahead. And I'll tell you what, I was not planning that far ahead. I had an end in mind. I had things that would happen along the way, but I kind of wanted to see what happened too. And then when things got thicker and faster, I just had to make it work. And so it became a book. And so it's now also a paperback book and a Kindle book. So that's actually been recently released as well as almost on top of Transwitch. It hasn't been as popular as I'd hoped, but I mean, I did give it out for free, audio format to start with. So I don't know. I thought maybe people would want to keepsake, and they might well still, but I don't think it has as much. I don't know. I don't think it hit the same nerve that Transwitch did.
Well,
but still, I I really loved creating it. It got lots of downloads. People were listening to it. It just maybe works better in audio format. I don't know. I liked the book, but I wrote it, so
it's very eclectic. I have really much enjoyed. Well, I know you. I've known you a long time. I know where a lot of the ideas come from, but I like the way you put things together the way you do. I could say that generally about all of your work, but yeah, if I don't say it between now and then, bring Transwitch and the other book. I'll get those from you in conjunction. So,
well, having finished both those projects, I went on and also not having any more Alien Beer stories, I had a quandary about my podcast. What do I do next? And I have started doing something that is a hybrid. It is not a serial. It is a series. It is more like the original Trek series in that you don't have to watch them in any particular order. They're episodic rather than serialized, and or like Twilight Zone episodes. But in this, it's not like Twilight Zone in that there are regular characters. There are consistent ones who are always there, and then they have sort of a visiting guest each week, if you will. And so I've put out for the Rosedale Pub, which is like a in between the worlds. It definitely has a lot of similarity to both Cheers and Callahan's Cross Time Saloon in different ways, but it's my own thing, and it's definitely an extension of Multiverse Blues and Reality Check. I even have Reality Check characters have already, or no, I take it back. Reality Check characters appeared in Multiverse Blues. I haven't had any of those characters appear in Rosedale Pub yet, but I do have plans on doing some crossover stuff. So
lots of intricate world building there, Chrissy stuff.
You can find the podcast on Silly Hat Books as well, but it's also on alienbeer.podbean.com.
Okay. Danielle, I suppose you can even mention some things that don't involve us. So where can people learn more about you?
Okay. So you can go to my website and check out all my stuff. It's daniellemuething.com. Yeah, let's see. After I finish camp, which I have one more week to do, and you know what, I'm going to throw out some love from my camp, which is the Cincinnati Academy of Performing Arts, is who I work for, and they do a lot of great work with kids, and it was really exciting to get back to doing theater again. It's been something that was hit really hard by COVID. Not being able to do live theater. So we stepped out on the stage for the first time the other night, and there was this audience, and I thought, oh yeah, I remember this. So it was a really nice feeling. So I have one more week of that, and then I'll get back. Although I have missed my booth, getting up in the morning and not having to worry about what I was going to wear for the day, and having to get in my car and drive somewhere. It was like, wow, this is hard. I just want to walk down to my basement and talk into a microphone. So I'll be getting back to that next week. I have a sequel. I'll be recording the sequel to the very first audiobook I did, which was Letters to Paul, and he wrote a second books. I'll be doing that. I'm going to continue with the Crystal Springs. Actually, I'm finishing up the Crystal Springs Witch Mystery books this year, which makes me a little sad, but there were 6 in the series. There are 4 out now. 1 is on its way, and then the 6th one will be by the end of the year. The Twice Bitten series, which is my vampire series, that one I'm continuing with, so that's exciting. I may have an R.J. Sullivan book coming out that's on the schedule coming up.
And maybe the Red Lotus fans out there might be excited about that when it comes around.
Yeah.
Can I squee at this point? Squee.
Yeah. So that one's coming up. And then we'll see what else I got. That's all I think that's all. Only a few things.
Just that, out. Yeah.
You know. So, but yeah, definitely website, DanielleMuething.com. I have a YouTube page, which, Chrissy, I swear, I filmed the video for Trans Witch right before camp started, thinking, I'll have time to edit. And then camp was like, no, you won't. So I need to get it out before the end of June because I talk about Pride Month in it. It's like, well, Pride Month's almost over, Danielle, so up.
TikTok.
So yeah, hopefully that'll be coming out soon, but check out my YouTube channel too. I believe it's Danielle Muething narrator, and that video will be coming out very soon. So yeah, a few things going on. All good.
Cool.
So for myself, like I said, I put out, just kind of re-put my stuff back out. That was not a sentence, but you followed me. And just starting to get back into some new work with Rebecca and Blue, a project that got kind of put on hold a couple years ago, and I'm really anxious to get back to and get some new material out there. And taking it, we all have to work at our own pace. It seems like I'm a little slower than most, but I am definitely doing the work, and it's getting done. So hopefully we'll get something out there for people sooner than later. So to learn all about me, you can go to rjsullivanfiction.com. And John, what's up with you?
Well, as I mentioned before, with regards to book 2 in the Ivory Black series, which hopefully will be coming out by the end of this year, and the Compendium Novella series, which will include books 1, 2, and 3 for Codename Night Ranger, should be coming out hopefully in 2022. I have several short stories. I've been invited to some anthologies. I'm really happy and looking forward to writing those short stories. I'm also working on short stories to appear in The Best Is Yet to Come, Volume 2, which hopefully will be out sometime in 2023, maybe. Or 2024, whichever, however that works out. Just like RJ had stated, a lot of my books will be re-released all of my books will be re-released because I switched publishers. And I'll also be launching a newsletter next month. So relaunching it, revising it, and making it all pretty and special, and all of those good, wonderful things that I'll be working on. Plus I'll have a new cover artist. His name is Stephen Alexander Jones. I discovered him through a music friend of mine, 2 twins, the Thompson twins, not the ones we grew up on, but Jared and Joshua Thompson. They're local musicians. Jared's with a band called Premium Blend. They're a jazz group. Check them out. Anyway, their cover artist, I just saw the cover and I knew that this guy was the one, and he has not let me down. I can't wait for the world to see the new covers for the God Killers and Codename Night Ranger Compendium, and then also for book 2 in the Ivory Black series. So besides the podcast here, with the 2 Towers, I also am working on the Cognitive Consonance Cafe with a friend of mine, Larry Smith, who's a writer for a local Black newspaper. and we're going to be tackling social issues that affect the Black community. And that's going to wrap up what I'm doing on the writing front, as it were.
Very good. Well, I hope our listeners indulged us a bit to talk about ourselves for a couple of episodes. We don't normally get to do this to this extent, but with our two guests, this was a great time for me. I thank you both for appearing. I know that we'll have you both back on for all kinds of different reasons as they come up, but it was nice to kind of take a step back, talk about what we've been up to the last couple of years, and Danielle's work and Chrissy's work are both well worth checking out, and if you haven't yet, you should do so. And John, my co-host, same to you as well. We'll be talking more about our work from week to week, and it's, you know, I value all of you. I'm glad that we've got this bond between us. It means a lot to me.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
And kudos to all of you, and ditto to all of you guys. Thank you so much for the friendships that we have, and looking forward to the future. As my catchphrase says, the best is yet to come. You know anything about me as an author, that's what I say, it's what I write, so the best is always yet to come.
All right. I think that's it for today, John.
Yep, that about wraps everything up. I want to give a personal thank you to our guests for joining us today, and look forward to having you guys back on the show at some point. And to all of our audience, be sure to check out the works of all of these fine authors who have been presented here today. I'm not patting myself on the back. If you want to check me out, you can, But
You should.
but also if you're on Facebook, check out our community for nerds of a certain age, 40 or over, but anyone 18 or over is welcome. It's called OG Nerds. And until next time, stay nerdy. The Two Towers Talk Show is sponsored in part by OG Nerds, a new social media community dedicated to nerds of a certain age, 40 and over, although all are welcome. Members are encouraged to share articles and links on their favorite nerdy topics such as animation, anime, art, books, writing, comics, manga, movies, music, sports, tech, science, TV, video games, RPGs, and more. Be sure to visit them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The Two Towers Talk Show is sponsored in part by Showtime Cinema in Mooresville, Indiana. Their friendly staff is always willing to go the extra mile to make your movie-going experience an enjoyable and memorable one. Enjoy the comfort of their new cushioned seating in their spacious auditoriums, and while you're there, be sure to stop by the concession stand and purchase some popcorn where real butter topping is an option. They're located at 300 South Bridge Street in Mooresville, Indiana. We hope to see you at the movies.